I have a principle. Do something once and do it well. We musicians have a tendency to overdo things sometimes. As the saying goes, loco is laka.
Firstly, Mutamula, congratulations on the release of your new album, Secret Place.
Thank you.
Please give us an overview of how you approached this album and what your goal is regarding its impact with those that buy your music.
I think that the approach was basically, I had the theme, and the concept came to me as I was thinking about, how it is, that in life, in our walk with God, we deal with different things, and the secret place is basically, where we all go to recharge, to find ourselves, to sort of, find our direction, get, all those kind of things. And secret place, basically the term secret place, which is the title of the album, is just a fancy way of saying my prayer closet, or the place where I have my devotion with God. And so the repertoire of the songs is basically a reflection of that, thanksgiving and praise and worship and all those things, which are all part of, what we do when we're in the secret place. And so that's what the songs are meant to do. In terms of the approach, I wanted to be as musical as I can possibly be without necessarily turning it into like something else that's just we musicians have a tendency to overdo things sometimes, and it can become something that we are having fun with and enjoying ourselves and having the time of our lives, and everyone else is like, what is going on? So I think finding the balance between being artistic but at the same time being careful to bring out the message in the best possible way and in the simplest way that is relatable. So I think that's kind of like how I approached it, and just to try and be as organic as possible without trying to force things and whatever. And that's basically how we approached it.
And that's a good approach. Is there a song that people that are listening to the album keep coming back to you saying, this is the one? Like I love this song.
I would say two songs. There's one called Inende Tota, which is basically a rendition of a song that we used to sing back in the day, if anyone who's grown up in church, and you did praise and worship, that song, Inende Tota, it was a staple back in the day. And so we just did, a juiced up version of that. And, that's one song. And the other one is a song called, I Wanna Walk With You. Yeah. So it's just a story about, how, or rather a heartfelt, sort of can I use the word desire, or like a posture of the heart, like God, I really want to walk with you, and we reference people like Enoch and Moses and all that stuff. And so those are some of the songs that are resonating with the people.
So you're getting some great feedback.
Yeah.
Now, if there's one thing everyone knows about Mutamula, is that you are a multiple threat. Yeah, you're a songwriter, singer, arranger, producer, mixing and mastering engineer, and you play multiple musical instruments. Tell us a bit more about that.
So it all kind of just happened. I don't think that I necessarily set out and say, oh, my goal now is to be, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be a keyboard player and I want to be it all kind of just happened, organically, so to speak. And usually it was because there was a deficit somewhere. So I learned how to play keyboards because I didn't like the way people played for me when I was singing. You know what I mean? I always felt like there was this disconnect and I would hear things a certain way. And so that's how I started learning how to play. I learned how to play bass because in the band, there was a bass player missing, you know what I mean? And, but my first love was drums, which is what I started with. And that's kind of how like the whole instrumentalist sort of thing happened. And then when it came to, being a mix engineer and producer and all those things, I wanted to record, and I would find myself sometimes in situations where you are in the studio and there's no engineer, or the person that you're working with just doesn't get what you're trying to do, you're not really on the same sort of frequency and everything. And so I was just like, oh, can I just try this and can I try that? You know what I mean? And eventually I realized that I'm actually good at it. You know what I mean? So a lot of what I do kind of just happened. And then I realized, I'm not too bad at this. Yeah.
So many people that know you say that you take your time with your album. You always kind of in pursuit of excellence.
Yeah.
Why would you say that's so important to you?
I have a principle. Do something once and do it well. There's no time for second impressions. You only get to do something once. You know what I mean? You only introduce yourself once. You can't come back at, sorry. What I meant to say is, hello, my name is, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, that's the underlying principle that governs me. But also I realize that with what we do, especially with art, it'll stay. You know what I mean? It'll stay for years to come. So I like when I do something that even if you reference to it 20 years later, it still makes sense. And you're not like, yeah, you know what I mean? What were we thinking? What were we doing and stuff? And so that's what's guided me. And I just like, doing, especially, that we are dealing with a big God. You know what I mean? I always like to make sure that we do things excellently because he's an excellent God. When God was creating me, he wasn't like, oops. Like, you know what I mean? When God was creating the universe, he wasn't like, the stars can just, no, he like, is beautiful. You know what I mean? In the way that, God does things, he does them with an excellent spirit. So the fact that I'm a believer and, the Bible tells us that we are created in his image, why not follow the example that is, given to us by the Almighty and also be excellent people? And so that's what governed me. And that's why I do things the way that I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Excellence should be a non-negotiable. What do you think should be the takeout for people who listen to your music, both those who align with your spiritual beliefs and those who might not subscribe to your belief system, but love good music?
I think what we try to do deliberately is make the music excellent to the best of our ability, that it sounds great. But not only should it sound great, it should also carry a message of hope. It must carry a message that will build people. You know what I mean? And so the content of it is important as well as, the bed that, everything, or the foundation that which the content is built on. You know what I mean? If I can phrase it like that. And so we made sure that the music was excellent. The musicians that play on this project are top-notch musicians. The singers are awesome musicians, awesome singers, artists in their own rights. And yet, they were humble enough to come and be part of this group that we call Tribe of Judah, and so that was like the foundation. You know what I mean? Just make sure that whatever you're doing is at the highest level possible, and then you also make sure that the content in it is also something that people can relate to. So to everyone that is listening, I think that, depending on which day and how you wake up and how you're feeling, you might just be listening to the beat. You know what I mean? But the hope is that, the message also sneaks into your heart, what we're trying to communicate. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us time. It's a powerful album. Do you have a parting word for those watching you right now on Z Flashback?
I think what I can say to people that are listening is, particularly from, the Zambian audience, I want to encourage, people to support local. I think that I see a lot of apathy towards our own things. You know what I mean? We have an apathy towards, our own productions, our own products and all those kind of things. And I just want to encourage people to support local. As the saying goes, local is laka, you know what I mean? And so it would do us a world of good when we learn to support one another, whether it's in business, whether it's in arts, whatever, mode it may take, but it's always important that we support one another. That's the only way that we're going to grow. So let's support our own artists, let's support our soccer, let's support our industries, let's support whatever it is that we're doing. And let's make this Zambia great, as great as it ought to be. Yeah.